let's hear this one. The power of words. The power of words. 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 I don't know, man. English is not my first language. Don't hate. All right, let's watch this one by Alex the Virgo.
You gotta be careful the things you speak. I believe that. I believe that. Like when Tupac and Biggie got to always rapping about death, and they spoke it, and it happened. So I'm real careful about, cause everything I ever said came true.
Things that I repetitively think about or say, I'm able to manifest. Like, this house, for example, I manifested this because I obsessively used to take my uncle's Audi, and I used to take a girl to Young and Eglinton, Silver City to the movies. Then I used to go tell her, like, yo, you want to go see where I'm going to live one day? Yeah. Because this is where I'm going to live one day. And my uncle had the Audi drop, and I used to drive these same 3 streets right here. That used to be my route right there.
He wanted the hot guy and the hot music all at the same time.
Wrong, Cyrus. It wasn't about his looks. I fell in love with your words.
Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words may never hurt. Yeah, that's bullshit. Words are one of the most important things in the world. I mean, think about it. Some of the most beautiful movements, art pieces, and people were started with words. But also some of the worst movements, mindsets, and people were created with words as well. See, the devil, the powers may be, those who control the masses, whatever you want to call them, has no real power over anyone. They say the devil's greatest trick is making people believe in it. They say fear only has as much power as you give to it, which is true because terms like sticks and stones conditions you to tell yourself that your words and other words have no power. So this ultimately makes you a lot more vulnerable to the power of somebody using their words for negativity instead of positivity. And it also stops you from realizing that your own words hold so much weight and power in this universe. And that's what we're seeing in modern time. When you scroll through Instagram, you see pictures, but more importantly, you see others' words, others' opinions of validation, hate, admiration. When we go to school, we are not taught to listen to our own hearts and our own internal dialogues, but rather listen to somebody else's internal dialogue, or more specifically, somebody else's words. And they do that enough until eventually everyone else's words are so imprinted on your mind that you start to believe them as your own. With that, let me explain the power of words.
I have a dream. My 4 little children, they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream.
Everybody wants to know what I would do if I didn't win. I guess we'll never know.
How you think creates how you feel. How you feel becomes an emotion. That emotion becomes a vibration. That vibration becomes a magnet that attracts things to you. Your world is created by your mind. It all starts in your mind.
It was 1982 and a 24-year-old Michael Jackson was trying to break free fully from his image of being a child star who was a part of a teenage boy band group and step into his new image of being one of the greatest pop stars to ever live. And one of the tools that Michael Jackson would use a lot was his words. So your mind is very programmable. It can be trained to automatically think negative thoughts just as easily as it can be trained to think automatically positive thoughts. What determines this is, your environment, your parents, your friends, and anything or anybody else that communicates or touches you in vulnerable moments. I know nobody probably ever told you this, but you quite literally control your reality. And Michael understood this to a T, and he applied this simple universal rule to reshape his initial image of being just a child prodigy. He was still living with his parents at the time and going through the motions of making his second studio album that he was hoping solidified him as an icon. He was remixing songs, throwing some away, but the same as any other legendary piece of art, it started out as just an idea, or rather, words in the mind.
I look in the mirror and I would say over and over to myself, I'd take a deep breath, put my feet together, raise myself strong like a hero warrior, and I'd say, biggest selling album of all time, over and over in my mind, and I'd look in my eyes and I'd mean it, and I wouldn't accept anything unless it was exactly what I wanted.
Mind you, this...
Bro, this thing, dude, that's a man, bro. You gotta understand. Like, not accepting anything except it's exactly what you want, that is like a man exemplified, a man personified, because he is just striving for greatness. And I know that the idea of perfection might drive you insane, but he pretty much did not accept anything until it was perfect. And that's why Thriller is one of the best-selling albums of all time, if not the best-selling album of all time. That is kind of insane to me, dude. That is crazy.
This is before he even started making the album. These affirmations was before he was the king of pop. He was telling himself what he believed his reality to be. And as I said before, when you believe something enough, when you work at something enough, it's only right that the world bows down and believes it too. And after all these affirmations, hard
he cooked. When you believe something enough, it's only time. It only takes time for the rest of the world to kind of bow down to that thought and idea from your head. Dude, does that mean that the rest of the world is programmable to your mind, or does that mean that your mind is so programmable that you can program your mind to think one thing, and then based off of that one thing, it kind of has a rippling effect on the rest of the world? I don't know if I'm going on tangents here. I don't know if I'm just yapping. I think I might just be yapping, but like that is kind of crazy still though.
Long hours of work. He was able to manifest the best-selling album of all time, Thriller. Most people walk around speaking negativity to themselves and others all day. I can't afford that. I'm broke. You tell yourself walking past that car you want. You just told millions of cells in your body to make sure that that will be your reality and you won't be able to afford that car. Whatever you speak and tell your mind automatically starts to try to make that your reality. I am a little YouTuber. Well, you just spoke that over your whole channel, and now when people see you, they're gonna view you as a small YouTube channel. Most of these self-destructive behaviors, if they are inherited through just being human in this world that wants you to hate yourself, a lot of people, myself included, learn these negative speaking patterns as children. We want to sing and dance at parties, but we remember those kids that laughed at us and told us that we look goofy when we dance. Or we remember all those comments on TikTok and Instagram of some people recording some random people at prom or at a party having fun dancing and saying they look stupid or embarrassing. We then go later on in life and we begin to tell ourselves these same things, and our mind starts to truly believe that that is us, to the point where we count ourselves out before anyone else can. It's the same reason why on the opposite side of Michael being this amazing megastar who created all this amazing art, due to his father abusing him and not speaking life into him but rather fear and ridicule, he was a very insecure man who did a lot of surgery to his body.
Oh my God, it's the Jackson 5. Where's little Michael? Where's little Michael? She's looking around, looking down. Another person goes, there he is. And she goes, ugh, what happened? Just like that. And God, I just could have died right there.
And ultimately, no matter how much love, support, and admiration he received throughout all of us throughout the world, it was never good enough because he felt like he was never good enough because nobody in his childhood ever made him feel like he was good enough. The seeds that you plant in the mind of somebody young, even if they don't seem that big of a deal right now, will go on to eventually grow into tall oak trees that normally, unless chopped down with extraneous time and dedication, will go on to last a lifetime. And that's how insecurities are made. And through these insecurities of words, people can manipulate you to do things you normally wouldn't do. Some of the greatest acts of violence have nothing to do with physicality, or at least they don't start out like that. It instead starts out with words. See, with physical violence and persuasion, you have a natural guard up due to, your survival instincts. But see, with words, they can touch you, but you can't touch them. It pierces beyond the skin, the brain's logical beliefs, and goes straight to your soul, your subconscious mind. How did a Kendrick Lamar absolutely obliterate Drake? Not a single hand was laid on anybody. His words. And see, this impact of words is multiplied beyond measure when somebody is in a vulnerable state, like being angry, sad, depressed, happy, or desperate. A perfect example is Germany's very own. I'm not gonna say his full name because, most people think he just marched into the office and took over the military and started this crazy run. But what he did was actually a little more subtle. Germany was coming off a loss from World War I and was in a recession. And pretty much they had to pay back money lost from the war to various enemies. Their people were starving, the economy was at an all-time low, and the government couldn't offer a solution to the people that would inspire them to make a change. And if the engine of a car or the people of a nation doesn't run, then the whole thing cannot run. But here comes a 44-year-old man who's been making his way up the ranks, gaining connection with those of power, not by fear and brute strength, but rather he talked to everybody he needed to talk to about the state of Germany, the state of the people, and how he wanted to make a change. And eventually, after various speeches, he was appointed to Chancellor of Germany. But when he first started, he didn't try to lead with brute strength or force, but conviction instead. Almost the same way a preacher doesn't tell you to believe in God, but he speaks of God so highly with so much conviction and energy that you bow down and listen. He told the Germany people how he could put an end to their suffering, the hungry nights, the feeling of being at the bottom of the totem pole. And his solution, well, you know his solution. But he promised them a better country, a better future, because in their current state, it didn't seem like anything was going to improve. So in this already vulnerable state, and him speaking to their insecurities, he won their votes and in turn won their compliance. To us, these symbols and affirmations are reminders of massacres, genocides. But to those people at that time, through his sheer words, those represent talks of a better time, a way out. That's the power of words. I hope you watching can notice the double-edged sword of words. Words can make or break anything. Somebody might be on the verge of ending it all, and your words just might be that final push for them to go through with it.
Bro, like seeing Ethica, it's that just like kind of hit different, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Just seeing Ethica, like, and he just said like, your words might be, you know, the thing that pushes them over the edge. That's kind of crazy, man. That's insane.
Or pull out. A lot of us are conditioned to not love ourselves, to talk negatively to ourselves. And our own individual worlds and realities are complete reflections of that, which then reflects to the mass world of that as well. And it seems like nothing can get better. That's just the way things are. You sit and tell your mind. But I'm here to tell you today that whether you believe it or not, your words have power and impact the world around you and the people in it, the children in it. So I want you watching to be careful of what you say, what you put out there, how you talk to your friends, how you talk to your brother, your sister.
Man, this is such a powerful video, and I think that I'm gonna be more careful about the words I like use. I think that I have to be a lot more careful because I think I've been speaking a lot of negativity into my life, and I have to, no, this is crazy. I'm not gonna lie, that thumbnail is insane. But I have to be a lot more careful, is what I'm trying to say.